Good evening, everyone. I'm still in Lima, Peru, and it was last week, I believe. I don't know when it was, a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but I had heard through the grapevine on some Facebook forums that one of the banks in Mexico just went under or something along those lines. Anyways, here's the Bloomberg story on it. It says Americans' life savings disappeared from Mexican bank accounts. Then it goes on to say it's Monex. Americans say the money they had at Monex is gone, and the bank is coming. I'm not sure if Monex is actually a bank or kind of like a mutual fund that acts like a bank, kind of like that institution used to be in I forget the name of it, but they got folded into another company. I can't remember the name. It's just not in my head right now. But anyways, I'll just go on to read this a little bit. It says in late December, Kathy called her banker to get money to build a house. Anyways, the money wasn't forthcoming, and according to this, Monex has 5.2 billion in assets, some of which allegedly are in the United States. And when the transfer didn't work out, I guess the poop hit the fan. Anyways, the family in question was building a house in San Miguel, and the bankers told them that about 40 million was missing from as many as 158 accounts. So it sounds like the institution itself is not bankrupt, but people's money disappeared, which I won't make too many comments except for to say this would not be the first time this happened. This actually happens in America. Well, I won't say that. It sometimes happens in institutions up north, but you never hear about it because the money's redeposited. The banks figure that out before you ever figure out that your money was gone. Anyhow, I'm just going to read this real quick. A dozen people interviewed by Bloomberg News say that bank statements Zabala sent them purporting to show full accounts were apparently falsified. Most say the bank has told them little since they filed complaints, and some say Monex tried to settle for far less than the balances owed. When they told us we had 6 pesos in our accounts, I just felt sick to my stomach. Kathy Machir, I may not be pronouncing your name right, I'm sorry. Since then, they have not dealt with in good faith. The scandal has upended the expatriate community in San Miguel, a city of about 70,000, about 500 miles south of McAllen. I've actually haven't been there in a long time. I didn't care for it when I was there, but I remember being very chilly in the winter time. But I think in my hotel they had actually a fireplace, which I did not use. But I haven't been there a long time, but I do remember there being a lot of retirees and expats there. I'm going to continue. Most retirees, they have to navigate a society with fewer legal and financial protections than they'd get in the U.S. Fraud is becoming more common, says Kevin Carr, founder of financial technology firm Finden in Washington, D.C., and formerly the U.S. Department of the Treasury's primary representative in Mexico. Mexico authorities try to prosecute these cases, but often aren't successful. The same is true in the Philippines, as a matter of fact. In 2018, there were 7.3 million complaints of fraud involving 18.9 billion pesos, about 1 billion, according to Conducef, Mexico's consumer protection agency. That's more than double the number of claims in 2014. Wow. I have an idea what's behind this, but I'll keep that to myself. Monex said in a statement that it's looking into accusations against Zabala, which is the aforementioned banker, if I remember correctly. Legal action is continuing in the case, and details cannot be disclosed so as not to hinder the investigation. The bank is working with clients and has settled with 70%, spokesman Eva Gutierrez said in a release Thursday. Alberto Loyola, an attorney representing Monex, declined to be interviewed. Some clients interviewed by Bloomberg News who settled for reimbursement say Monex required them to file charges with the, I can't pronounce that, Procuraduría General de Justicia, the equivalent of an attorney general's office in Mexico City. That's interesting, I won't comment. Where the bank is headquartered in, to name Zavala. The agency didn't respond to multiple requests for comment. That was smart. Zabala who hasn't been charged, said in a phone conversation that she's living in San Miguel but declined to comment further. By instruction of my lawyers, I cannot say anything. Goodbye. Penny Taylor, Zaballa's mother, says her daughter is taking the fall. Monex has a lot to do with this, she says. Zaballa, who worked for Monex for 20 years, became San Miguel's banker of choice by winning over expats with promise of fat returns on accounts she claimed were dollar-denominated and immune to the peso's fluctuations. Remember the last time this happened? This was when I was a kid. People's dollar accounts were converted into peso accounts when they had the devaluation. That was a long time ago, though. She was local royalty, daughter of former Mayor Manuel Zaballa and his Texas-born wife Taylor, an agent for Christie's International. So that's interesting. The Makirs, after discovering the account had been drained, met Loyola, the outside attorney representing Monex. They say he blamed Zaballa. They also say she probably wouldn't have committed any fraud alone. Don't worry, we will make you whole again. Kathy Makir recalls Loyola saying, almost 4 months later, with no reimbursement in sight, the Makirs had been liquidating assets. This is really painful. Not common, but not uncommon either. In January, Kathy cashed in her life insurance policy. In March, they drove their 2012 Subaru to the U.S. and sold everything to pay their contractors. Anyways, I won't keep reading this. They're talking about more people who deposit money. It looks like one chap deposited $400K USD. He stopped getting statements in June. They're alleging a lot of fraud. And it sounds like this is happening to quite older folks. There's a gentleman who was 83 who's moved there 22 years ago. And he's claiming his account returned 14% with stocks or shares from Walmart in Mexico. That's what I'm familiar with. So it's not exactly a bank, but kind of like a mutual fund, but with banking services. Those kind of institutions are common in Mexico. Anyways, it goes on to talk about more people who lost their money. So here's something they're saying. Bruce Brown, a retired sound engineer from Australia, says he got his full $250,000 back after filing a complaint against Zaballa, the attorney, or the equivalent of Attorney General in Mexico City. But after Brown got his check, a Monex representative called and asked for $50K. The man said, had overpaid. I told him to go pound sand. That's kind of funny. Anyways, my comment on this is not uncommon. There's more and more fraud at major banks where employees take money. I'm familiar with a case in the U.S. where a lady, I won't say how much, but it was 7 figures from a small bank she embezzled. And believe it or not, she did not get a lot of jail time. And when that happens in the States, depositors are made whole right away. But in this case, I don't know but there's a variety of different investigative agencies in the U.S. who investigate these things, like the FBI, and there's another agency, I can't remember. But for whatever reasons, they chose not to claw back some of the money when they did a check to see where all this money went. This is in the U.S. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But the lady got 2 years. And a lot of that money that went missing, I believe, or if you could talk to insiders, the government and the bank knew where the money went, but for whatever reason, they chose not to claw it back. Although they can. It didn't go offshore is what I'm getting at, like you oftentimes hear in these situations. Anyways, the moral of the story, in my opinion, is don't deposit your life savings in a bank or financial institution in a foreign country if you don't understand how the rule of law works. One thing that many Americans miss is one of the greatest benefits of the United States is we have depositors insurance up to $250,000 US dollars, and that increased from $100,000 in the 2008-2009 financial crisis. And people from all over the world want U.S. dollar accounts, and they want their money on deposit in U.S. banks because of the safety and security of the banks. If the banks, excuse me, if something happens at a bank in hours, usually hours, you don't even know it. But when the bank goes down, your account is full in another bank, you usually get a letter or a phone call or something like that telling you you don't, your money's safe and you have access to it. Another minor story this happened in the Philippines years ago. The owners of the bank literally took cash out, flew to the southern part of the Philippines, and basically disappeared off the map. Bribed someone so they didn't get investigated. Anyways, this is not uncommon in the Philippines or in Latin America. Sometimes they take the money offshore, so they don't. But anyways, just as an example, in the Philippines, the bank deposit insurance used to be $2,000, but in local currency. Now it's $5,000. But my point is, even when it's $2,000 or $5,000, you usually have to wait years to get your money back. This is why you should never really deposit your money in a small bank. If you're going to deposit money offshore, have a lawyer or an accountant guide you to the more reputable banks. And don't put your money in financial products you don't understand, where it's not a guaranteed rate of return or a guaranteed. Sounds like in this case they're investing in financial products. It also sounds like there's a fraud involved, which I never get to the bottom of, or they won't publicly say what happened. Looks like they're trying to settle with everyone. But that's why the wealthy in the illegal world deposit their money offshore in U.S. accounts, which are for them, because of the large bank guarantees. And then there's CDRs, which I won't get into for the war. They can't lose their money in the prices, at least as of now. Has always backed that. And for people outside the U.S., the Treasury Department doesn't cooperate with any overseas tax agent, which most people don't realize. So safe here. And most people from around the world stable currency, and despite the dollar not being the most, the dollar is king, or it's king amongst other drunk currencies. So with a little bit of dollars, that's what people do. And of course, we have a deep real estate market. But anyways, my point is, don't put your money in an offshore bank if you don't understand the rule of law. Don't put your money in an offshore bank if it's not a main bank of that country, like a high street bank, or Lloyd's Bank, which I don't think it's system where they can flow into another bank. But so like usually in most Latin countries, in the Philippines, there's 2 or 3 top banks, and your lawyer or accountant will guide you to those banks. And they've never been bankrupt in the history of the country, and usually those banks, and they keep their wealth there, so very doubtful they'll ever go under. But that's just my opinion. If they ever do go under, in most cases, your lawyer will alert you to that, what happens, because they know. They really know. And how you do have a bank account, XYZ Bank, and they'll tell you to take your money out. In that case of the Philippines, I knew people who knew in advance it was going under. They still would take the money out, 20 or 15 to 20% returns in dollars. So they just got too, they lost their money too. When you're depositing offshore money, don't put in making lose. Understand how the legal system works. Understand the financial instruments you're investing in or buying, so this does not happen to you. And the biggest thing is, don't put your life, say, in Latin America or any country, if you do not understand anything how the financial system works, the legal system. It's not like the U.S. It's not. Most banks don't even have $100,000 or $1,000 bank deposit insurance. And if you know anyone in banking, you'll realize how much fraud, how much money goes missing, and how that's increasing with new crime, online crime, and things of that nature. Anyways, I have to say about this. I'm going to upload it and see what kind of comments I get. But anyways, like, share, leave a comment. Thank you.